Magic thinking is a way of thinking that actually causes more fear and anxiety. I am Pauline and I am so happy you are here because it seems like magic thinking is actually helping you. It's giving you more control. And that's why a lot of fearful avoidants use it. But it's not, and it's actually quite detrimental to your mental health. So in this video, we are going to dive into what it is and why fearful avoidants specifically use magic thinking. So magic thinking is a negative thought pattern, and it means that you believe that your thoughts have a direct influence on what is happening around you. So when I think this thought, something horrible is going to happen, maybe immediately, maybe in the near future. So it means it's pretty black and white. It means that every single thought that you have has a direct influence, like a magical influence on your life and on your external factors. And this can be really confusing when you are in the personal development world and you have come across law of attraction, for instance, or just the power of positive thinking, because that seems to preach that your thoughts actually do have an influence on your life. And that's true. But the core difference is that with magic thinking, you think that one thought immediately has an influence. And with one thought, something horrible can happen. Whereas the power of positive thinking states that your general thought patterns influence how you feel and maybe how your life kind of unfolds. And I definitely do believe that. But there is a big difference between control, which you want with magic thinking, and having influence, which is definitely possible with the power of positive thinking. So we are going to dive into the difference between these two a little bit, because you can switch from magic thinking, which is fear-based and control-based, to the power of positive thinking, which will actually influence your life in a positive way, which is awesome. But magic thinking is a tool to have control. You have been taught when you were younger that you had to control your feelings and your thoughts. This is one of the core things of the fearful avoidant attachment styles. Some feelings are just not accepted. You can't have them, so you're supposed to suppress them and not have them. But the same goes for thoughts. And you try to manage and control your feelings and your thoughts, but both are not easy to control. They're not even really possible to control, especially feelings. They come and go. That's how they're made. It's not that you can pick and choose. I want to feel this and I don't want to feel that, and then you will have that for the rest of your life. Your body is made to feel the whole range of human emotions and feelings, and so those feelings come up and go again. And the same with thoughts. So many of the thoughts that you have, around 95% probably, are not your thoughts. They are not your truth. They are just echoes from the past. They are the things that other people told you. They are the things that you picked up from media, from movies. And they are not yours and they are not serving you. So taking your thoughts really seriously and thinking, oh, if I have this one thought, that will mean that something horrible is going to happen. My life is going to fall apart. I'm going to hurt somebody. That will cause so much fear and anxiety because you are trying to control every single thought. And that is impossible. So you are trying to do something that is impossible, which will always cause anxiety and fear, especially if you're seeking control by doing it. So there is no way to control your thoughts, and luckily you don't have to, because magic thinking is a cognitive distortion, as they sometimes call it. It is a way of thinking that is just not working. It's not serving you. It's a negative thought pattern, and it is associated actually with anxiety, with depression, with substance abuse. Not to scare you, but cognitive distortions as a whole are related to those things. Just to show you that even though your fear brain is telling you this magic thinking thing that is giving you control over your life, it's not. It is just adding to your fear and anxiety, and that's what we are trying to heal and what we are trying to lessen so that you have more freedom and more happiness. So it's super logical that you turn to magic thinking when you have had a childhood where you weren't allowed to have certain thoughts and certain feelings. You had to be a certain way. Were trying to control that in every which way possible. Also, when you've had a lot of negative experience and you didn't have any control over your life or over your parents' moods when you were younger, you will tend to gravitate towards anything that gives you a sense of control, even when that sense is an illusion, which most of the time it is, which is scary. I understand, but stay with me. We'll get to a point where you'll see that you don't need that control. You really don't need that control to be safe. So that magic thinking, the interesting thing is that because the whole personal development world, law of attraction, is becoming more and more popular and more widespread, this actually kind of feeds into the magic thinking if misinterpreted, and that's very easy to do. But magic thinking, so an individual thought having an immediate consequence on your life, that is not serving you in any way, because it's not possible to monitor and control and manage your thoughts like that. What helps is to see your thoughts as like a radio chatter in the background, because like I said, 95% of your thoughts are not your own, so it is kind of radio chatter, and you wouldn't take the radio so seriously that every single thing on the radio, somebody would say that, you'd say, oh, then that's going to happen, and that's the truth. That's not how you would view the radio chatter, and that is how you can view your thoughts. Thoughts just come and go. They're like this echo chamber almost in your head, and you can deliberately choose which thoughts to think, but that doesn't mean that those thoughts will immediately have a consequence. You think this one specific thought, and then, you know, that happens. It's not like, oh, I'm getting $1,000 today, and then you have $1,000 today. Just that one thought, which would be magic thinking in the positive. So seeing those thoughts as just clouds coming by and you being the sky, you are way bigger than your thoughts and your feelings, and they just pass, they just come and go. And you don't have to pay attention to them. You don't have to control them. You don't have to manage them and make sure that you don't think any impure thoughts, whatever that may mean for you. It is okay. All your feelings and all your thoughts are okay. We all, every single person on planet Earth has thoughts that we don't really understand, that are weird, that don't feel good. And that's just the human mind. That's just how we work. Our brains are so evolved and developed, and they can do so much, but sometimes that also has pitfalls. So having said that, see it as radio chatter. You don't have to take it seriously. You don't have to control it. You don't have to manage it. That will help so much with letting go of magic thinking. Why you want to use magic thinking is because you want control. You want to control every single little thing in your life. And that comes from fear, and it's super logical. It's not a bad thing. It just doesn't really work, and it adds to fear and anxiety, which adds to the fearful avoidant attachment style. So you are trying to find your safety and security outside of yourself, trying to control external factors. But that safety and security is inside of yourself. No amount of control can make sure that you have a perfect life where nothing ever happens. That is not true safety. True safety is knowing I am powerful. I can handle anything, and I have support. I don't have to do that by myself. There is always support for me. Just as the saying that a bird doesn't trust the tree, but it trusts its own wings. That's what you want to move towards, gravitate towards. If you are trying to control external factors, you are trying to trust that one branch. But the bird knows that it can just fly if the branch breaks. And that's what I so wish for you, because that is what is going to give you true peace and true relaxation. As long as you're trying to find safety and security in the external factors, you will always have this sense of fear and anxiety, because what if things go wrong? So that's why fearful avoidants do it. You want control. Super logical, but it just doesn't work. So working on changing your mindset to influence instead of control will really help you in this. And you do have influence over your life with your thoughts, but it's not immediate. It's not that you think one thing and then immediately that happens. When you tend to choose more positive thoughts, to deliberately and consciously think more positive thoughts, that definitely has an influence on your life. And you can go the psychological route with that. If you have more positive thoughts, you are open to many more possibilities, and are able to process things from your environment that actually align with those thoughts. So there's been a study where people who thought they were lucky, who described themselves as lucky, versus a group of people who described themselves as unlucky. And the researchers put them in a waiting room and gave them a book. And in that book was, I think, $100 bill, some form of money, some amount of money. And the lucky group found that bill much more often than the unlucky group. But it wasn't that they were actually luckier. It was that they looked at that book, they flipped through that book in a different way. And if you change your thoughts, you will see different things in your environment. You will pick up different things in your environment. At any point, we have billions of, I don't know how you call it, stimuli that that come in, but you can only process a small part of that. And what part you process is influenced by the beliefs you have and the thoughts you have and the feelings that you have. So you can change that set of beliefs, and you can choose to have more positive feelings so that you process other things. So that's the psychological route. It's explainable in the psychological realm. Then you also have the more spiritual realm, if you're open to that, the law of attraction, whatever you want to call it. But also that doesn't mean that your thinking is magical, that one thought will produce instant results. That's not how that works. It couldn't be, because then so much more would happen. I mean, in the positive, that would be great. But in the negative, that would be scary. So that's what you then feel when you tend to want to be able to think magically. So in both areas, in the psychological realm and in the whole spiritual realm, you can influence your thoughts, and that will have a positive effect on your life. But it's more the continuous thoughts that you have, the thoughts that you choose on a continuous basis, that you kind of try out, how do you say, practice, and then make your own, that will actually start to influence your life. So, like I said, magic thinking is quite black and white. It's either you have full control or you don't. And influence is always you increase the odds of things working out in your favor. And I want you to start thinking in this way in everything, also in your relationship, because a lot of fearful avoidants also want this same control in their relationship. They want everything to be perfect now. You demand everything to be perfect now. That doesn't work, and that causes disappointment, fear, frustration. But changing that to influence, changing that to investing in your relationship, and increasing the odds that you will be happy down the line and that you will stay together down the line. That's where the real magic happens. That's where you can put your energy into something that is actually constructive. And the same for positive thinking. Anytime you choose a positive thought is an added benefit. It's just an extra. So adding to the increasing the possibility, increasing the odds, that's what you want to work towards instead of having full control, because nobody on planet Earth has full control. And I know that can be scary, but it will actually be so liberating if that's what you uh, adopt, and you know that you can handle whatever happens. And I know that sentence alone is scary. I know you want control, and that's totally okay. But what I want for you is that you feel this unshakable sense of peace and this sense of freedom. And that's what you get from the other mindset, the growing and investing and increasing the odds. Yeah, so this is kind of the difference between magic thinking and why it isn't working for you, and a different way of thinking that definitely has an influence. And quite a big impact also. I mean, the more you work on that, on increasing the positive thoughts, the more you will notice that in every area of your life. And if you're having a hard time doing that, that is very logical too. It's hard to think positively if you have perfectionistic tendencies, if you have this fear of things going wrong or happening out of nowhere. There's so many fears underlying or resisting positive thinking. It all makes sense. But you can heal that. You can actually heal all those fears resisting the positive thoughts and the positive feelings, so that it becomes more easy to do that. It becomes more of second nature to have positive thoughts and positive feelings. You can do that through EFT, the emotional freedom technique, which is tapping. I talk a lot about that on this channel. And that would definitely make it easier to use the power of positive thinking, which is absolutely something different from magic thinking. Please let me know in the comments below, how did you know magic thinking? Was that something you were aware of? Was it something you gravitated towards? Please let me know. I'm curious. As always, I am so happy you are here, and I will see you in the next one.
Healed and Happy is a tailor-made online program where me and my team personally guide you through healing the roots of the fearful avoidant attachment style.